Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 10 of the anime series Violet Evergarden. I just got done watching it, and it broke my heart. It broke my ever-loving heart. Especially as somebody who could highly relate losing my parents early on in life and watching my mother's failing health for 5 years before she passed away. I cried my eyes out watching this. I already knew not 2 minutes into the episode where it was going, and that didn't matter. It didn't matter that I could predict wholly where the story was going, how the episode was going to play out, what the plot of it was. I guessed at all of it, with the exception of the fact revolving around the letters that Anne's mother was writing. I had made the assumption that she was probably writing to family and friends, and not, as a precursor to her passing to say her goodbyes, or, I thought maybe she was desperately seeking, based on the one, maid's concerns that Anne would be left alone in that giant house, that mansion. I had thought that her mother was seeking someone to come and become her caregiver or something, take care of the house, maintain it, and keep it a livable home for Anne, that kind of thing, in her absence. And so I was pretty much gobsmacked by the fact that all of the letters were to Anne in the end. In her mother's absence, she wrote letters for her every birthday for the next 50 years. And it just made me, bawl my eyes out. A lot of people, are robbed of family members and friends in this life. I mean, there's never a certainty, other than you're born and you die. There's so much of that in between time that just, you never know for sure what's going to happen from one moment to the next. And so I've, felt ever since losing my mom and my dad and grandparents and things like that, it's just my sis and I. And there are times when we feel like, we had so much of our lives stolen from us in those losses. Anne is lucky that she still gets to hear from her mother, even years, decades after her passing. And unfortunately, for my sis and I, and for those like us, when that is taken from us, there isn't always a follow-up. There isn't always, the forethought to leave something behind to, we'll never hear from our parents again. We feel them with us all the time, but and this episode brought that to boil, definitely. I didn't even know, should I do a video? Should I talk about it? What should I talk about? Am I gonna cry my eyes out on camera? And very nearly, I'm laughing to try to save myself from just crying outright. This was a hell of an episode, a very emotionally impactful episode, and I'm sure it probably was, even for those who could not relate to losing their parents early on in life and having to fend for themselves so much in life. And it was just the epilogue. I was so happy that they included it, seeing Anne growing up and seeing her fall in love and have a child of her own, and reflecting back on her mother's kiss to her forehead in the similar way that she would kiss her own child's forehead. And, the little bit of characterization toward the end, all the time that Violet and Anne spent during that 1 week, those 7 days, and to see how Violet would go back to her HQ and break down. She was holding back the tears of her own accord, being very much in touch with her emotions now. And I was right there with her, and I was impressed by that, and I had really wondered where the hell this show could go beyond where they left us in the previous episode, which, as I said in my previous episode discussion video, it felt like a finale. And like if every single episode of this show had suddenly, had some accident occur where they all went up in flames, this would be the one episode I'd run into a fiery room to save because of how emotionally impactful it was. I don't think you needed to have all the previous experience with Violet as a character herself. This show has not really put her into the forefront through the majority of episodes. It was only like the last 2 or 3 that she came into the limelight, rather than the background and surrounding characters. So you could watch this episode and just get the entirety of the emotional impact, even without that familiarity with Violet. You might not make sense of, why is the kid confusing her for a doll the entire time? The revelation that comes toward the end, oh, your skin is warm, are you real? Which was kind of adorable. And I don't know, man. This was a hell of an emotional episode. Had me bawling, and I'm fighting back the tears now talking about it, and it's really all I got. It's really all I can say. I don't really want to sit here and talk too much about, I'm not going to recap it. You've already seen it probably. If you're watching this video, you already know what happened. And I'm not going to really touch upon the greater, aesthetics of the story of the show and all that kind of stuff. Save that for a less emotional discussion. And but yeah, I'd love to hear from you, what you thought of the episode, all that good stuff. Love it or hate it. And I will just catch you later. Peace.